play their final game at Falcon Stadium. When you think about that group as a collective whole, what things are you most prideful?
Oh, gal. That each one's currently on path to graduate from the Air Force Academy. Probably the other part, candidly, you think of it. Golly, you look at some of the impact guys on defense, T.D. Blackman, Elijah Brockman, Chris Herrera, Vince Sanford. Those four on offense, DeAndre Hughes, Isaac Cochran, Omar Fatah, special teams too, and David Cormier. If those guys did not take the turn back, would we have the record we do now? To be real, let's, both your service academy games or that comes to mind. As you asked me off the cuff here, I think the other part is, they have a chance. I don't know how often since we've been in this league you have a chance maybe to have 3 different seasons where you win 8+ games. You've been in this league for a class to do that. We've been in this league almost for a quarter century now, 23, 24 years. That's probably something else that comes to mind. What else? It just, they've played competitive football, but their maturity. It goes so far beyond the sports or the football part of it. We've been able to be in a bunch of games, not all of them, since they've been here, but a good number of them. And just the joy they are to coach.
What have you been impressed with Clay Millen? Freshman quarterback's going to be up, down, but he's shown some pretty great flashes.
Yeah, the arm talent that he has. This is a guy that could have gone about to a good number of places to go to school. And what a huge transfer, to be able to get him and a bunch of others too. You look at these guys, especially offensively, how dynamic they are. To have a receiver and a punt returner that's playing in the NFL, that's a mild statement because it's, it's a strong statement, but an accurate one. And but he is a great talent.
Is this as big of a change of a roster from year 1 to year 2 as you've seen what you played at CSU last year to this year? There's not many crossovers there.
Well, they are. They're just a good number of them were at Nevada.
Fair.
It's that's just they and yet they can do it in a good number of sports. It's just not in football. Where they're able to, the roster changeover nowadays. It's a real part of college athletics, and so it's not going to be the only time. It's not the first time we've encountered this. I'm thinking last year in 2021 we played a game here against Utah State, and they had a few guys that weren't on that team the previous year too. So it's, they have a bunch of gifted players. And it'll be it would just, you look at it over the years in a good number of sports that we've played them, just the sheer difficulty of trying to engage with these guys. It's hard.
In what ways have you seen them improve significantly since they started off? They had a rough start with Michigan, tough schedule, but they're much different than they were earlier in the year.
No question. You look, again, the capability they have, how explosive, just how electric they can be offensively. And defensively, they've been superb here about the last month especially. You look the other night holding a really talented Wyoming team to 14 points. To go back in the previous weeks and see how many of those games were the opponents in the teens in terms of the points they've given up. And you just look at them physically. When you look at the film, you say these are high-level guys, and they are too. And more than anything else, we know. Just golly, playing these guys over the years. We were saying this morning, remember those last 2 trips to Hughes Stadium where you look up and it's 38-13 or it's 58-0 and you're behind, or all those years where, whether it's on a field or on a court, they've overwhelmed Air Force to be true, in a bunch. And so it's a huge, huge challenge for us.
On Saturday, y'all are honoring the seniors. What do you have to say overall about the senior class?
Just great work ethic, the ability to understand that you're a part of something that's more than just yourself. These guys get that. They're how helpful they've been as really big brothers, if you will, to the younger, the freshmen and the sophomores. And yet a great deal of drive to work. I mean, day in, day out, whether it's to meet with some focus and to be attentive and captivated, to lift hard, to practice hard, and to want to change, to want to grow, to want to improve.
Coach, because of the turn back, you've had them for a longer period of time. Obviously, we didn't want COVID to come happen. But have you appreciated getting to know the guys maybe even more just because you've gotten an extra year or two with
No
them?
question. Absolutely. I mean, it's more time that you spend together. The value of those bonds, just the connectivity you have with those guys. And the other part, it's given us a chance to be more competitive, too. In terms of kind of brings to light a little bit, you'd say, golly, is there an advocate in Congress or wherever it is that said, all right, what are some things you learn here from maybe some of these experiences? But, just high quality, each one of them quality young men.
All right, I'm going to give this the old college try, but you've only lost twice to Colorado State in the time you've been the head coach here. Can you attribute any reason for success against them?
No, like I said earlier, really for the resources that they have. If you ever go through a stretch where you're 3-9 or 2-10, it's not always apples to apples, to be real. And they, just look at the number of draft picks. My goodness, and here we're going to counter them again this week, and they're going to have more, here in the very near term. And like I said, a couple of those games, when you looked up there, and I don't know if it was 38-13 or exactly what it was, but I'm pretty sure it was 58-0 with 12 minutes left in that fourth quarter. It just sometimes they have made it very difficult for us here over the last 2 or 3 decades, and it will be this Saturday too.
State bragging rights, is that something you guys talk about at all?
It's not. Haven't mentioned it at all.
How about the Falcon Ram Trophy? Is that?
Briefly yesterday. Yeah. Really briefly yesterday, maybe for 2 seconds. That we did.
Is it still in your office?
I don't know where it is.
Thought I'd try.
Yeah.
You mentioned the turn back thing. Have you, and I know you've advocated for some sort of red shirts for a long time. Has there been any traction on that since this?
Really, that's not for us, and I respect that. We do whatever the direction is. Our job, I think, if you're a troop and you're a soldier, then you got to smile, and whatever that is, we're going to do it. And we're going to do that with all of our heart and our soul, too.
And offensive line today was named a semifinalist for the Joe Moore Award. The only one outside the Power Five to get that. How do you kind of assess their play this season?
Oh, God, I'm trying to think the top of my head. Where are we? Probably in sacks, probably in the top fewest sacks, like 8th or 9th in the country. I think we've been fair as far as time of possession goes. We've been decent in terms of not having a ton of penalties. I don't know where we are nationally penalty-wise, probably in the top 25 or 30. As far as being able to run the football, at times we've been able to do that fairly well too. I guess so. Do they? And now they are. You've heard me say it. They are well coached, and it probably helps again. You have a guy that's a 5th-year guy that maturity-wise is just the way he's elevated and had a phenomenal leadership experience because of it too. And Isaac Cochran is a leader of that group.
Is he the clear-cut leader?
No, we got a bunch of them. We don't have one. I don't know if we really do at any position, but he is. He's a veteran guy, and so a guy that's been here a little longer, he can be even a brighter beacon of light, if you will. Just the experiences that he has and believes in the process, and how the system works, to help a guy. And, some of the shared knowledge that he has. But we're fortunate. We had that in 2014 with Michael Hussar. And he was a December graduate, and how magnificent it was to have that pinning on and swearing in ceremony in Boise, but the football part of it too that he brought. That was huge. Gave us a chance to have a competitive team that year too.
And kind of randomly, do you and Hugh Millen, do you ever cross paths at any point, in your football time?
No, but I mean, you certainly remember him. I mean, as a kid growing up, for sure. He was a heck of a player now. I think, what year did he finish there? 85, 86? 86. I do remember when they beat Oklahoma, in the Orange Bowl. This would have been, January 1st of maybe January 1st around 84, 85. And I think it was Paul Scansey was the other quarterback at Washington. And it's when Oklahoma made the kick. No, the wagon went out there a little bit earlier. The Schooner did, and it was the penalty they got. They ended up turning the game around in the Orange Bowl that year. So, yeah.
Wow. And with Vince Sanford, obviously the flashy numbers he hasn't replicated last year. But when you grade him, where does he kind of sit compared to last year?
I mean, he's had quite a year now. The protection turns that are happening are pretty obvious when you see a quarterback repoint and sending two linemen that way. He has elevated our defense. Now, I don't have numbers to share that with you, that way, but just how impactful he's been. Golly. And, probably a little bit what happens here, too. Maybe you don't play a ton of snaps where you accumulate raw numbers. Just because, defensively, if you look nationally when it comes total a number of plays, I don't, are we in the middle or are we playing a lot more than that? I think, that. So you just don't have, if you have 300 at-bats on a season, if a baseball game was on a stopwatch, you only got 300 at-bats on a season, you're going to hit as many homers or drive in as many runs.
How much of an emphasis is that this week, that area, the pass rush, just to try to negate maybe some of the physical mismatches elsewhere?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like I said, just, the way they can accelerate in the open field as much as anybody we've played this year. And their size up front, that'll be hard to do. You just can't rely upon only your front four, although I really like our front four. We have to have some ways where we have some other pressures that come too. We'll see. We may not, too, to be real.
And when your film study, are you pretty much only looking at this year? Or when you do look back, are you looking more at Nevada?
We are.
Or Colorado?
Yeah.
Or Colorado State?
Yeah, both. Yes, sir. Both of them. You go back to that game we had at Nevada last year, and it was, I think they had 10 points with about 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden you blinked and they had 39 points or something like that. I mean, it didn't take long, and you see some of those same concepts, and you see how close they are execution-wise. I don't I don't enjoy looking at that last 11 or 12 minutes of the fourth quarter in the overtimes, but we have to in terms of our full preparation.
So yeah, I'll start with, are you guys all ready? Okay, start with the Joe Moore Award again. You guys are semifinalists. What's that mean, to see that, especially only non-Power 5 team on there?
Yeah, it's something we take a lot of pride in as an O-line, That's always a goal to win that award is probably our top goal for the end of the season as an O-line. And we know that we have the ability to compete and block anyone. We just got to go out there and show it. And luckily the committee saw that we have. And they're, we've got their eye on us. We're like in the running. We're in the top 9, right?
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and then, for you, obviously you have the other award for the top walk-on or former walk-on, and then you're a midseason All-American. Has it been pretty cool to see your name and then now this one added onto that to go through all this?
Yeah, it's been an awesome season for me. my goal was always to be the best player that I could for Air Force and everything, and all of that extra stuff is just adding on to that. So it's a real honor to be noticed like that, and really shows off all the effort and the work that I've put in. So
And then, with a teammate as a running back who's climbing the charts the way Brad is, what does the offensive line take a ton of pride in seeing where he's at now too?
oh, without a doubt, definitely. I mean, we don't obviously O-line doesn't really have measurable stats, so the only way to really gauge your performance is how are the guys around you doing, and to see Brad have the success that he has is really cool for us. It's like a payoff for what we as an O-line do.
And as you look at CSU, what kind of challenge do they present on the defensive side?
Well, I mean, they're tough up front. We'll have to come ready to play, and we're looking forward to it. It's senior night. It'll probably be a little chilly, but it'll be a challenge, and we like that. We want to be able to prove ourselves against better defensive lines, and we have a chance here.
And so many of your class, or not so many, but a number of them, you included, have been here 5 or even 6 years. Does that make senior day or senior night a little more special? Because, it's just the sheer longevity.
I mean, I can speak for myself that it's a really big deal for me. Like, I've devoted so much time and, 5 years of my life to this program, and to play my last game at home, that's a big deal.
Kind of off of that a little bit. It's bittersweet, isn't it? Because you'll never get to play here at Falcon Stadium again.
Yeah, definitely, it is.
Have you thought in great depth about it, or is it just, are you trying not to think about it till it's over? Or
I've definitely thought about it. I've been playing here longer than I played at my high school field, so this is it's definitely a big step, but it eventually has to end, and I'm happy that it ends with the season that we're having and with the guys that I play with.
State bragging rights on the line, is that
Oh, of
something you
course.
guys thinking about? Can you
Yeah.
give us a little insight on that?
I mean, as a team, before the year we set all our goals, and number one, of course, was win the CIC, but the second goal was win the state. So this is our chance to win another state championship, which would be really awesome.
Do you sense a little bit of a rivalry when you play Colorado State in those games?
Yeah, I mean, we're the only 2 group of 5 teams in the state. There's a lot of competition there. Both teams really want that win. Both teams really want the Ram Falcon Trophy. So, yeah, definitely.
Have you ever seen the Ram Falcon Trophy?
Oh yeah, of course. we've won it.
Is that something they present to you after the game?
Yes.
Okay, see, I didn't
Mhm.
know that.
Yeah.
Because we never see it.
Mhm.
Coach says he doesn't know where it is, but I think it's actually in his office.
If I had to put money on it, I'd say that's where it is.
What's your guys' conversation each week on the O-line to keep up this momentum that you guys have been having?
I mean, I really trust all the guys on the O-line. They're all extremely motivated as well as I. So we don't really have to, have that conversation. I know that they all want to win just as much as I do, that they all want to perform well and play their best week in, week out, and I trust that. So there's no need for that conversation, if that makes sense.
You seniors had an extra year together. How does off-the-field chemistry translate to on-the-field chemistry?
I mean, just with more time, you're gonna work better with the people. So you look at how well our offense can work, how well our defense will work, working with all of that, and I mean, the best thing is time for building those relationships and that skill.
When you look back and sum up your experience here, how will you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, right now I'm just focusing on week to week for the most part, but whenever I graduate, that'll be fun to think about. I've had a lot of good times here with the team. So
Do you have a wish list for the bowl game? What you guys would get?
somewhere warm. So
Start with CSU specifically. You know, playing a passing team like this, like, how does it change things? You know, are you excited for the change to generate some pass rush and kind of face one of these kind of offenses?
Yeah, it's exciting to get a different challenge every different week. This team has a good receiver core, pretty good quarterback, O-line. It's going to be definitely a challenge for us, but we're up for it for sure.
And you know, being your last game at Falcon Stadium, like, what's that mean to you?
It means a lot. Haven't really got time to just sit back and think about all the memories, but sure, after this one, I'll definitely just sit back and just think about everything we've accomplished and all the times that we've been here. It's been a long ride, definitely.
Well, it has been, and long especially, you know, with the extra year and whatnot. You were a prep school guy too, right?
Yep.
So yeah, like that's 6 years of your life here. You know, like,
Yeah.
does that add to the significance of this week?
It definitely does. Just thinking about it, coming in here as an 18-year-old kid, leaving here, definitely a man now. This place means a lot to me. Definitely learned a lot here. So, yeah, it means a lot.
And where will you be going after graduation?
I'm going to New Mexico to be an aircraft maintenance officer.
Okay, I think we've probably told us that before. And you know, when you look at this season, obviously the numbers aren't as flashy, but do you think it's, you know, is it just because of the protections you've been facing, different role, not as many snaps? Like, you know, do you feel like your contributions have been just as strong and just we just don't see it in the numbers?
Yeah, I do feel like that. Definitely putting in the same amount of work. Like you said, there's been a number of things that are different from this year, last year. It's a little different coming into the season where nobody knows who you are. And also just playing just statistically good defense so far, getting off the field on third down. It just changes the numbers, but that's not really what my main focus is. It's more winning.
I mean, do you hear quarterbacks, you know, call out protection to find you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we do.
Is that, you know, is that something you're going to remember? Is there a lot of pride you take in that?
Yeah, I do take pride in that. It's definitely a good feeling. It opens up lanes for other guys as well. So yeah, I kind of like that when I'm out there. I'm like, yeah.
How you doing, Vince?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thanks. We were just talking to Isaac, and he did say one of your goals this year was to be state champs, so to speak. Is that something you care about or something you've thought of?
Oh yeah, for sure. Every year, well, this year in 2019, we played CSU. And CSU and CU. So we got a chance to fight for a true state title. Having that Falcon Ram trophy at the end of the game is definitely a good feeling. Having everybody around it taking pictures, something that we take pride in.
So you get a chance to be two-time state champ, right? Is that
Yes, sir.
accurate? What's it like playing in this CSU game? I'm probably not the level of Service Academy games, but do you get a sense there's a rivalry there?
We come into it. It's a conference game for one. So it has that significance for us. Being just up the road, we like a lot of these guys are from Colorado, so we want to bring it to them, and so that they have that for them.
What's the key for you guys to have a good pass rush and be successful at getting pressure on the quarterback this week?
I think it's just it's really a challenge for the whole defense. Being tight in coverage, giving a little extra time for the rushers, and then getting to the quarterback quick so that they don't have to cover as long in the back end.
Which season do you think your head stopped talking and you realized it's just a football game?
I feel like my junior season last year, probably after my first start, that's probably when it started. Because at that point, you just like, oh, this is just football. This is what I've been doing my whole life. So after you get that first start under your belt, I feel like that's when everything slows down.
And how do you feel like this team's chemistry is and how off-the-field chemistry translates to on the field?
I think it's pretty good. Everybody seems to be having fun with each other within position groups, and then even outside of that, on Thursdays, everybody goes out to eat together, have a good time after the game, locker room, post game. It's pretty fun. Win or loss, like we stick together.